大家好，欢迎来到欢迎金融科技。那么今天我们来讲一讲这篇文章。这个文章来自 Barron，比较著名的巴伦周刊。这篇文章跟我的一些观点比较类似，而且我们现在正在迎来全球的这个加息的浪潮加息的浪潮。所以在这个情况下，会有非常多的这个企业出现大规模的违约，这是 default。Way of default，然后我们要准备可能面对一个更加波动率更加强，而且不稳定，并且这么样疲弱的一个熊市，一个 bear market。然后这篇文章其实写的是不错的，然后今天跟大家做一个分享。那么如果大家喜欢的话，也可以去关注我们的频道，也可以去Barron 上面去看一些这样的文章。好，那我本身是 Bloomberg 跟 Barron 这些周刊的稳定的付费的会员，因为他们上面有非常多的很好的专栏的文章，那大家可以自行的去阅读，或者来我们的这个channel 来听我去做一些点评也可以。好，那我们来开始。The bull market tune has been playing for 12 years now, and when the music finally stops, many investors will find themselves cheerless。就是说整个经济就像一个什么抢椅子游戏在这个抢椅子游戏中间我们会发现，当音乐响起的时候，所有人都在这个准备要抢一个椅子，但是随着每一节音乐的过去，那么椅子就会越来越少，那么最终留下来坐到椅子的人也会越来越少，那么没有抢到椅子的人就会被淘汰掉。所以说我们现在正在这个抢椅子游戏的一个末尾，这个音乐呢即将停止。好，那这个Barron 这篇文章是由这个 Barron Hall Famer 就是他的这个荣誉的一个 analyst Jim Sack， 然后他的一篇文章叫做这个 Preparing for Bear Market， 准备熊市的到来。他是一个非常有真知灼见的这么一个 advisor how's to play? He knows how to play this game. His 28-year-old investment firm, Stack Financial Management, focused on avoiding big setbacks. It moved clients' assets entirely to cash prior to the tech crash of 2000 and was safely positioned before the financial crisis later in the same decade. 他的这一件 Stack Financial Management 成功的帮助客户逃过了这个2000年的这个 tech bubble collapse， 这个科技泡沫的这个崩溃。好，那 Stack 它是一个什么？它的一个 firm 是 manage 1.5 billion from Whitefish Mont。Says many investors are dangerously complacent right now. I'm afraid there is a lot of money in today's stock market that is not prepared for the potential risk of loss ahead, he says. Speaking with Barron's advisor, Stack explains why he still has a 75% allocation to stocks, and he argues that high-flying stocks aren't the only investments that could plummet in a stock market crash. Bitcoin, he says, could drop 90%. 那 Stack 他是这么认为的，他认为是说这个Stack explain， 他认为这个他手头上仍然还是有75%的多头仓位但是呢，他认为现在股票并非唯一可以持有的，然后而且有一些股票是可以在股市崩盘的时候持有的。那么比特币那么他认为会暴跌90%。那关于比特币的话，我会在下期一个视频里面讲。我个人认为Bitcoin 也是会迎来一个比较大的 market plummet。我一直在强调我是认同区块链的技术但我并不认为比特币它不是一个会跌的一个 bubble 当然还是会出现比较巨大的回调。You and your team saw trouble coming in the late 1990s and 2000s and moved clients' money to safety. When you look at the stock market today, do you see a bubble? That is and will continue to be a hotly debated topic, simply because bubbles are only identified with 100% certainty in 2020 hindsight. But when you live and work near Glacier National Park, one quickly learns that if it looks like a bear and grows like a bear, then you better assume it's a bear. And historically speaking, today's frothy market has all the characteristics of past market bubbles. It's not just the overvaluation, but also the psychology. The perceived absence of risk caused speculation to reach extreme that spilled over into other asset classes, including cryptocurrencies, NFT, non-fundable tokens, and even real estate today. This is one of the nuttiest and broadest extremes that I have seen in my 48 years of investing experience and over 100 years of research. 他认为现在这个市场的投资者非常的 complacent， 他认为他们非常的舒适，而且非常的过度乐观。那如果当你看到这个市场它表现的像牛市，而且它的一些迹象也像牛市的话，那他们熊市啊，那这个市场也可能会向熊市做一个发展。那么我们现在看到了这个市场中有具备了所有泡沫市场的一切的条件啊，同样的这个我们的投资的心理也会促使我们使这个泡沫越来越大，但是问题是什么时候这个泡沫会爆破而已啊？那同样的这样的一个risk 也会最终传递到其他的这个资产种类，包括这个 cryptocurrency、NFT， 还有这种房地产啊，这是加息会带来的这个捅破这个泡沫的这个浪潮啊。What is your allocation look right now? After pandemic bottom in March of last year, as the weight of evidence confirmed a strong new bull market and imminent recovery, we incrementally increased equity allocation to a high of 84% earlier this year. Today, we stepped down to 75% and have plans in place to reduce allocation further. If warning flags continue to increase, I think the past few months have been telling in terms of a shift in psychology and internal market strength. 就是说他们在这个市场开始复苏之前呢，就开始持有这个84%的多头的敞口。那么现在的话呢，他们将84%的敞口缩减到75%。那同样的，在为这个多头的敞口在寻求其他的比较好的一些避险的一些标的物啊。How overvalued is the stock market right now? In terms of Buffett Indicator, which is one of our favorite valuation indicators, we are in the 99th percentile of overvaluation. Proposed by investor Warren Buffett, this indicator measures stock market capitalization as a percentage of gross domestic product. At the same time, it's important to recognize that values are driven by interest rate levels. The danger is that today's stock market is undoubtedly one of the most interest rate sensitive markets in the Wall Street history. With inflation pressures deeply ingrained in the tight labor market and inflated housing prices, any surprise on the interest rate front year are likely to be unpleasant ones. 所以我们在问一个很核心的问题：这个股市到底有多被高估啊？那从我们用巴菲特的一个指数巴菲特指标来去做一个衡量，那它现在是在一个经济99%percentile 这么一个位置。那所以说现在是非常严重的 overvaluation。那么任何在利率上面的上调都会触破这样的泡沫。What could turn this bull market to a bear market? Historically speaking, overvaluation by itself doesn't cause a bear market. It simply tells you the level of risk when the next bear unfolds. And that means the level of risk in this market has seldom been higher. 就是说从历史来说呢，股市的这个过分估值或者是说超估一般来说并不完全意味着一定会进入一个技术性的熊市它只是告诉你这个中间存在的一些风险，还有下一个熊市到来的时候风险将会变得怎么样。To be clear, this is a monetary-driven bubble. That is not just the Fed's asset sheet, which has ballooned to over $8 trillion, but also perceived guarantee that Fed officials will not take away the punch bowl anytime soon. By dropping short-term rate to zero, the Fed has created a TINA environment. There is no alternative that has pushed stock market valuation $14 trillion higher than pre-pandemic levels. I am afraid there is a lot of money in today's stock market that is not prepared for the potential risk of loss ahead. 好，他这边强调，这是一个货币政策所驱动的一个泡沫啊，泛滥的泡沫啊。那这不是只是美联储的这个资产报表而已，而且美联储的资产报表一共膨胀了接近这个$80亿啊。那所以说我们会看到，这样美联储官员想要不断的拖延这样泡沫的爆破的时间啊。那 Fed has created TINA environment， 这是什么意思？就是说这没有所谓的另类投资的一个投资环境啊。另类投资一般就是所谓的像是这种hedge fund 啊，或者是其他这种，我们将有机会可以再讲一讲啊。另类投资，and I suspect the end will probably be a monetary trigger, just as it was at the end of the tech bubble and most previous bubbles. But until the Fed takes more decisive action to normalize rates, one can only guess where the final peak will be. Any strategy needs to view the year ahead in terms of surprises, and with underlying inflation pressures so entrenched, those Fed surprises are most likely to be bad ones. 所以他这边认为，同样的，如果说这一次泡沫会瓦解，或者说会爆破的话，也会有一个什么？会有个 monetary trigger， 也应该是有这个货币政策所导致、所激发的一个货币的泡沫的破碎啊。Thus, the Fed announcement this week that it will accelerate the tapering of its bond buying program, and the fact that it has penciled in 3 rate hikes in 2022, mean it's now reaching for the new punch bowl. The Fed's reacting, but still clearly behind the curve. Note the surprise overnight rate hike by the Bank of England, and technically, reducing bond purchase is still adding liquidity. The question is, when will investors realize that the Fed is quietly trying to remove the punch bowl without getting blamed for the hangover? And unfortunately, that's a battle that the Fed has almost always lost in the past. 所以他这边非常犀利的点出来哦，这非常写得非常精彩。就是说，你看在英国央行开始在这个格力利率开始做一些提升的时候，那么美联储其实已经开始暗地做一个暗度陈仓的动作，想要在不激发市场进行恐慌的情况下，将这个 punch bowl， 将这个我们讲这个定时炸弹也好啊，这种慢慢的拆除。但是在过去来说，美联储从未成功过。好 ，If you're so nervous, then why you're still 75% invest in stocks? We made a high cash mistake during the tech bubble of the late 90s by being too defensive too early. In the end, our clients didn't regret that, but we could have taken better advantage of that aging bull market. So this time we have followed a benefit of doubt approach. That means a defensive strategy in stock selection and sector allocation with a comfortable cash reserve that allows sleeping at night. 所以这个地方他们采取的策略，那这同样记者问了一个 sharp 的问题啊，为什么那你还是有75%的多头敞口呢？那么是因为我们呢在1990年代的时候，在那个科技泡沫破碎的时候，其实有一大部分的这个利润呢，他们没有抓到，所以他们非常的后悔，于是他们选择用一个方法，就是在获利的同时，同样的时候保持怀疑那这样来帮助他们同样的帮助客户获利，但是非常谨慎的时时刻刻准备对冲，然后留有这个现金在手上，那这让他们可以晚上可以睡得着觉。But we do have one foot in the door and are closely watching the tools we've developed to help identify when the final top is in place. Those tools include our Gloria index of big cap momentum stocks, our housing bellwether index that proved so valuable at the 2007 market peak, and our canary in the coal mine index to monitor speculative stocks. That index, which is already sending a warning signal, is a composite of 20 of the more speculative stocks in today's market that are driven very often more by hype than fundamentals. And of that 75% allocation, 12% is in the gold stock, which I think represent a defensive hedge today. And we also have a position in international stocks, which I think are more defensive than the US market today. There are even more important steps that we have taken, both in sector allocation and in what we have chosen not to own that have made our portfolio equivalent of probably 50% invested or less。所以他这里提到说，在这个他们有几个指标来帮助他们去衡量现在的市场是不是 overheated， 是不是过度投机。那他们有一个指标里面包含了20个这个非常投机性的股票那现在来说，这些股票的市值都已经飙升过这个基本面所能允许的范围了。那么他们现在的75%的持有持仓中，12%是在这个黄金的股票里面作为一个对冲那他们同样有这个portfolio 的话是这个这个在一些sector 他们想要去持有的 sector 也做一些安排。Now please explain how 75% exposure to stocks can be equivalent of 50%. We have significantly reduced exposure to technology and consumer discretionary sector compared to the S&P and increased exposure to more defensive sectors, including 12% in healthcare and 8% in staples, plus 9% in energy stocks, which characteristically a late-stage bull market sector. In addition, we have 7% in an international fund. On recent down days, our account have fallen less than one half the S&P, so we know our exposure is more limited than allocation alone suggests. 所以他们这个记者告诉他们为什么他们75%的话，他们75%的多头敞口相当于别人的50%的多头敞口因为他们认为他们选择的这些都是比较防御性的板块。那12%在 healthcare， 8%在这个消费者， 9% 在这个能源板块。好，那一般来说就是一个牛市的配置那同样的，他们持有 7% 在这个国际的这些基金里面那当他们进行大回调的时候，就是说当 S&P 往下掉的时候他们的这个表现并没有像其他的基金一样跌得这么凶，一般来说是这个还是表现得比较好的那同样的这个记者继续问What are smart sector to be in right now? One of the most important thing to know today is what not to be invested in. Avoid those areas that might have potential bubble consequences. And as popular as it is investing in the real estate sector and extrapolating the strength in real estate in the future, it's an area in the market that I just don't want to have our clients position. In addition, we have reduced allocation in big cap momentum stock. We are not completely avoiding those gorillas. We have a position in Microsoft that is up tenfold from where we enter it after the bottom in 2009, but we have reduced allocation in that. And I will continue to reduce allocation in the biggest cap momentum stock. Those are selling evaluation somewhere north of 30, and many are quite a bit higher than that. And of course, stay out of speculative arena. I think that's where a lot of young investors are trading today. In the new areas of IPO, the hot story stock, those are the one that, as the door closes, there's going to be little or no opportunity to get out. Where are you overweight? 所以他在这边上一段他是指出了这个他在这个科技股板块是有持股，包括他在微软的时候，在09年触底的时候入了很多的这样的股票，那他现在不断的在缩减这样的仓位。那同样的这个这些包括这个 FANG 这种科技块的板块也是他比较看空的，所以他在逐渐的这个出清这些仓位。他同样警告年轻的投资者，因为这个东西很多年轻的投资者没有见过，他们在投资很多比较投机性的股票，所以他们有可能会发现最终当这个浪潮来的时候，他们无处可退Where are you overweight? 这个 overweight 是什么？他在哪一些板块认为是这个超买的板块那 we're overweight in some of the more classic inflation sector like energy, materials, and industrials. We also like the stocks that are going to benefit from potential increase in interest rate. The trick there is to buy those that are going to benefit to rising interest rate without having exposure to the real estate market. 所以他们的现在的倾向是什么？去购买一些会因为利率升高而受益的一些板块股票的题材Yes, stocks you have said. You like the environment include Chevron, EOG Resources, Bank of New York Mellon, and State Street. What are some key attributes you're looking for at the company level? When you get down into individual stock selection, ask yourself, what does the balance sheet of these companies look like, and what is their pricing ability? In other words, buy the stock that have a strong balance sheet rather than the strongest earning projection, and also buy those that, if inflation does continue to go up, can pass the price along to customers without a loss of revenue. 那今天的话呢，这个文章比较长，那我会把这个 link 放在这个 description section， 然后各位如果有喜欢看的话呢，可以自行去观看。那今天的我分享就到这边，如果喜欢的话，请订阅、点赞、关注并转发，然后也可以到我的会员网站上 www.文涛.io 上面去支付这个会员，解锁更多的一些优质内容。然后我们的线上的课程视频的课程也即将在 Teachable 上面去做一个推出。那么各位如果有兴趣的话，可以点赞订阅，然后付费成为我们的付费会员。好，那今天的分享就到这里，我们下期再见，拜拜。